Aloha and welcome to Live at the Legislature, where each week during this past legislative session, we've given you a chance to hear directly from state senators about what's going on here at the Capitol. We're in the final week of session, which means the Senate is wrapping up the year's measures while also looking back at what they've accomplished over the past few weeks. Joining me today is freshman Senator Drew Mamo-Kanuha, who's among those finishing up his first session as a senator. He represents the 3rd District, which includes Kona and Ka'u on the Big Island of Hawaii. Good morning, Senator.
Good morning, Richard.
Thanks for being here.
Glad to be here.
This was your first session as a
Yes,
legislator,
yes.
but you brought broad experience, having served on the county council and also having served as a manager in business. Looking back, is there anything about the session that surprised you?
Not really surprising. I had a sense of how the legislature worked. I worked in the legislature in the past under Senator Clayton He, so it was a good experience to learn things of how he ran his chairmanship as the Judiciary and Labor Committees. And throughout the years, sure, I forgot exactly how the legislature went, but being a legislator at the Capitol is a whole different experience and a new experience. And having some experience on the county council kind of got me prepared of how to create bills, work with our community on creating the bills, working with other legislators on moving the bills forward. But this was definitely a unique experience. You gain the knowledge and the ability to work with your other senators, 25 of us,
Right.
but you have to also work with the House members, 51 on the other side to try to get the bills moving forward. So very unique experience, and definitely glad to get the first year POW and move on to the next year.
You also were immediately made part of leadership. You were the majority caucus leader, which means you were herding cats.
It's trying to get 24 of us in a room together, and everybody has unique experiences and unique ways of dealing with certain situations, but it was a lot of fun. We have a good group of individuals, and I'm proud to have been part of the leadership and part of the majority caucus and moving things forward.
When you compare that, I mean, as a staffer, you get kind of a different view of things than when you're in caucus. I mean, can you compare the two?
Oh yeah, as a staffer, you're running around doing everything that the senator or representative needs, trying to be on top of things, trying to be 2 steps ahead to make sure to prepare for anything that the senator would need. But being a legislator, I'm super proud to have great staff that help me any time I need anything to be able to do my job. So it's definitely a different experience, but I'm glad to have the ability to have been on both sides.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And you're probably a little better boss having experienced the staff side.
Yeah, you got to treat your staff good. They're the ones that help you out, and you want to hopefully keep them throughout your term. So they're really working with you and helping you, and it's a team. It's a team. So.
Having seen the process up close, is there anything that you would change if it was up to you?
Working up here, having a very tight schedule at the legislature, session is only a few months out of the year. When we're on the council, you're working throughout the entire year. You have meetings every other week. Session, it's very tight schedule. So, how we move bills forward, how we have the ability to caucus with each other, to talk story with each other. I think that's extremely important in how this legislature works. The Sunshine Law on the council was very difficult for us to be able to talk with each other, and even going to meetings, we couldn't go to a meeting with more than if there was a majority of members present, we weren't able to be at the same meeting with each other. So that was really difficult. But up here, we have the ability to talk story with each other, to find out what everybody is, if there's any issues with certain things, and work out those issues. And that's what makes it good over here. Would I change anything? I don't know yet. I think I got to go through a few sessions to figure out if there's anything that I would want to change.
What about the interaction with the House? I mean, it seems like it gets to a certain point in the session where things start to get really complicated between the two of them. I mean, is there anything you can think of that might improve that relationship or improve the way the two work together?
It's always about building the relationships. I started that within the Senate, and you build the relationships to get your bills through, and I think that's a good quality to have when you work with the House members. Be able to work with each other. I think that's going to be the best way of moving things forward and finding common ground. That's what I've been trying to do. And we'll see what happens in the next year. The ability to work with each other is why, that's really how we get things done.
Looking specifically at this session, is there anything that particularly you were disappointed with? Any bills that didn't make it? Or?
Yeah, you always want to get certain projects done, and obviously you can't get everything you want. You got to share with everybody. Sure, there's a few housing initiatives that didn't go through, but I think as a whole, I think this session went pretty well in terms of some of my priorities moving forward. When we spoke previously on Live at the Legislature, I said one of the main priorities was the lifeguards at Kula Bay. Right. And it's been a priority of a couple of our members for the last several years, and finally we got to insert it into the budget, and now hopefully crossing my fingers at the very end of this, it comes out good. So many people have died in that area that it was desperately needed, and I'm glad to see it move forward.
So your district all did pretty well in terms of budget and projects that needed to be funded. Yeah.
Ka'u Hospital was a main priority, Kalake Elementary School with the new classroom, of course, lifeguards at Kula Bay, Konawaina High School and Elementary School, parks that got, their softball fields and facilities got put into the CIP budget. So there's a good amount of positive that came out of this session for our community. So I'm pretty happy with that.
And over the interim, how are you going to keep busy?
I'm going to spend time with my family. I get to go back home and see my nephews that I haven't seen for a while, and do coffee hours and spend time with the community. It's pretty difficult to be a neighbor island senator where it's you got to go back during the weekends and you want to just sleep and not do anything. But now we have the ability to go back and really be with the community and go to the events that I'm missing since I'm up here at the Ledge.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. We're out of time. Thank you for joining us. Thank you to Olelo, and thanks to the crew that have made this possible every week. We'll see you next time, live at the Legislature.
Do you know your legislators? Visit capital.hawaii.gov and enter your street name to find detailed information about your representatives and senators. From your district number to the committees and current bills your legislators have introduced, this is an easy way to stay up to date with what is happening in your community. If you're looking for detailed information concerning Hawaii State Senate and House hearings, please visit olelo.org/gov-archives. Videos are arranged by date with the most recent at the top of the list. You can also search the on-demand media library by typing keywords into the search box.
Are you looking for an easy way to get involved in the legislative process? Stop by the Public Access Room located in room 401 at the Hawaii State Capitol. The Public Access Room provides citizens of Hawaii's facilities, services, and equipment to enhance their ability to participate in the legislative process.
Aloha and welcome to the Houses segment of Live at the Legislature, where every week we sit down with various members of the House of Representatives to talk about issues, priorities, and legislation moving through the halls of the state capitol. The 2019 legislative session enters its final week this week, and with adjournment set for Thursday, May 2nd. But between now and then, there are still about 200 bills remaining that still need House and Senate action, and that is out of nearly 3,500 bills that were introduced back in January. At the start of the session, the House also welcomed 10 brand new members into its bosom. It was probably the biggest freshman class that we've had in years. They come from a diverse backgrounds and experiences. Their ages range from 34 to 60-something. And the women outnumber the men. Joining us this morning are two of those women, Representatives Rita Cabanilla, who represents District 41, the Eva Beach, West Lock, and Ocean Point. Thank you, Rita. She is also a registered nurse. She's a lieutenant colonel in the Army Reserves, and she is a businesswoman. Also joining us is Representative Tina Wildberger from Kihei, Maui, and she is a brand new newbie to the legislature. She's a former member in the professional in the hospitality industry, and she is also a small business owner in manufacturing and distribution on the island of Maui. Welcome, ladies. Nice to see you. Nice to have you. So, Representative Cabanilla, this is not your first time at the rodeo. You were first elected here in 2005 and again last year. Has it changed? Is it the same?
Well, I would say there's a mild change. I'm coming back with a new leadership. And every leadership has their own personality, their style, as it should be. And I'm not saying one is better than the other, but there's changes. Some are pleasing. I'm really pleased with the Committee on Finance, because now it seems like they're confronting visibility, accountability, and how monies are spent. They are tracking, and I like that portion of it. It's the way that money works at the legislature. For those who doesn't know, the legislature appropriates the money. It goes to the administrative branch, which is the governor. Then it goes to the different departments. Now I am seeing that this leadership follows where the money goes until it's spent, and questions those that are being asked that really doesn't belong to the state, and I'm really pleased with that.
Well, that's good. A lot more oversight, and yeah, there has been a change in the budgeting process, and that. Representative Wildberger, this is your first time here. Is it what you expected?
Well, I really didn't know what to expect, Carolyn. Having never worked in government, I'm coming out of the private sector to serve my community, and so everything has been a surprise. As Rita mentioned, as a member of the Finance Committee, I'm really pleased to see accountability in government being brought to the table, and also working with the Energy and Environmental Protection Committee. We have a lot of great bills coming to the floor that we think we'll see all the way through to bill making. So working hard towards sustainability and preparing for our future.
Well, I do know. I was looking at your back. You are passionate about the environment and about sustainability. You are also a businesswoman. Are you able to mesh the two? Is it possible?
I am. It was a little frustrating not to be able to work on everything. You know, I come to this job as setting the example as an employer who has been already paying a $15 minimum wage since October of 2015. So I did write a minimum wage bill and would have been happy to support a minimum wage bill. Were we able to bring one to the, you know, all the way to the governor's desk this year? That's not going to happen, but maybe that's an opportunity for an even better bill next year. So while I am working hard on environmental and sustainability issues with the EEP committee, I have lots of different interests. So it's been a great experience.
Well, okay. We'll come back and talk about some of those interests as well. Representative Cabanilla, so when you started out this session, what were the priorities for you? What were you looking at?
Well, I was looking for funding a sports complex for Campbell High School. As we know it, Campbell High School has the biggest enrollees in the whole state. It's and the land is compact. We don't really have room to grow. So redesigning the complex is priority. Right. So I was happy that the governor released some money for the planning and planning of the school, because the principals are really into, it's not just just building. We have to design it properly, and I support them 100%. Another challenge they have is like, you know, the Title IX that we have,
Right,
and the
right.
ACLU
With
lawsuit.
the locker rooms for girls and stuff
Right,
like that.
and
Okay.
ACLU came to the picture, which is either good or bad, but because, you know, it puts handcuff on certain funding that they would like to give. So so we can do what we need to do. But I'm so happy, again, with the Finance Committee that they appropriated $5.1 million for the girls' locker room and sports complex, the athletic facility. It's not enough, but, you know, it's a beginning. And you
It
just have
is
to
a big, and it's, you know, I'm glad that the problem was finally addressed.
Correct, yeah, and I'm really happy with that. And I really want to acknowledge that I'm very grateful with that, because at the beginning, nobody want to give funding because of the lawsuit with it. And the state usually wait till the lawsuit is over before they can appropriate money to the project. But I'm glad that legislature took a chance and said, let's fix it, because it needs to be fixed right now.
Great. I do know that sometimes, you know, bureaucracy can move very slowly. Somebody has said about the legislative process, it is a marathon, not a sprint. But Representative Wildberger, anything that came out this year that you are particularly pleased with? Things that maybe you're looking forward to working on next year?
Yeah, we got a great hemp bill that's coming through, really terrific.
Right.
It's got to be a glass half full thing. You could focus on what didn't happen, but this is not an instant gratification bit of business here. So we have a lot of people to collaborate with. We have a lot of different ideas about what should be happening to improve our communities. And so it's about collaboration, cooperation, and communication. One thing I wanted to bring here to this body that seems to be a tough sell is getting the counties, municipalities, and the state municipalities to work together to solve our common interests, our common challenges. And that's something that I'd like to work on next year as well.
Well, I'm sure that we all look forward to the next few days ahead, and then we can all get out of Dodge on Thursday after doing the work that we came here to do. Thank you, ladies, for joining us this morning. And thank you to all of you for joining us for Live at the Legislature. Hopefully we'll see you next week, Monday. Aloha.
Thanks, Karen.
Do you know your legislators? Visit capital.hawaii.gov and enter your street name to find detailed information about your representatives and senators. From your district number to the committees and current bills your legislators have introduced, this is an easy way to stay up to date with what is happening in your community. If you're looking for detailed information concerning Hawaii State Senate and House hearings, please visit olelo.org/gov-archives. Videos are arranged by date, with the most recent at the top of the list. You can also search the on-demand media library by typing keywords into the search box.
Are you looking for an easy way to get involved in the legislative process? Stop by the Public Access Room located in room 401 at the Hawaii State Capitol. The Public Access Room provides citizens of Hawaii's facilities, services, and equipment to enhance their ability to participate in the legislative process.
Aloha and welcome back to Live at the Legislature, where every week we speak with members of the House and Senate to speak about issues going around here at the Capitol and within their communities. Joining us today is the newest member of the House Minority Caucus representing District 36, Mililani and Mililani Malka, Representative Val Okimoto. Good morning.
Good morning, Kaeo.
Thank you for joining us. So it's your first session, and tomorrow's the big voting day where all 200 or so bills will become law. How has the session been so far for you?
I have to say that not coming from any political background, I had nothing to base it on. And I'm proud to say that we've endured. I've lasted almost the entire session and looking forward to it ending. It's been a whirlwind, but it's been a wonderful experience. I've just thoroughly enjoyed learning the legislative process, being able to represent my constituents in the district, which is the main reason why I decided to run. It was because I wanted to be the voice. I felt that the people wanted a normal person, an everyday person to represent them, and I feel that that's who I am. I'm a mom, and I'm a former teacher, I'm a former educator, just serving in the community. And so that's kind of what I had hoped to do. And I'm just grateful that during this session I was able to meet with the constituents, meet with people who had concerns, and take their concerns into our everyday work schedule.
So if I remember correctly, you were a special ed teacher for
Correct.
over 10 years, and you sit on the Committee on Education. So how, given that experience, how does that shape your viewpoint when you're in committee, hearing bills and testimony from the Department of Education and all of that?
I was just first of all, very grateful that our minority leaders allowed me to be on the Education Committee. I'm pretty passionate about it because I did spend the majority of my career in the special education classroom in the DOE. And I have to say that being in committee hearings, there are many times, especially in the beginning, I'd forget that I was sitting on the legislative side of the table. I'd speak as a teacher because I'm always a teacher at heart. And so I think what I brought to the table that many other legislators couldn't bring was the experience. I still keep in touch with many of my teacher friends and principals, and my input was always based on what I knew was happening in the classroom from my experience, but also from talking to the people in the classroom right now.
And so what were some of the bigger issues that you were following in committee?
A lot of it was, I was in lower and higher ed. One thing that was really big was the higher ed, looking for programs within the UH system, how to fund these programs, but also on the lower education side, special education, teacher shortages. And I have to, regretfully say that I'm a cause of that because I left the teaching profession to be a full-time mom, and then led me to the legislature. I felt that maybe I could make a difference on this end. But the teacher shortage and special education educators is a high need, and that's a concern of mine because I feel that we need, qualified teachers, and the students, they need teachers that will be consistent and certified and qualified to teach them. But I know teachers that are in the classroom, they work so hard and they're passionate about what they do. I think supporting our educators in any way possible is just so key because that's where the children are learning. They're the foundation of our future, these keiki that we're teaching in the schools.
And going from, I guess, the broad level of statewide policy, education systems and all of that, down to the ground, to your community, what are some of the bigger issues that your community has faced, and how do you feel like you've impacted so far while being a legislator?
I pride myself in saying, and I'm not a very proud person, but I'm very proud to say that I walked to every door that I could during the election cycle, during the campaign. And the one thing that I heard repeatedly in the community was the cost of living. I live in Mililani, and it's a wonderful community, family-based, but the cost of living was a concern of theirs. Traffic was another, and then the education system. Mililani, we're very fortunate to have great schools. However, the parents still had concerns. One thing that our community I'm excited to say is that we just recently did the groundbreaking for the middle school. So since its inception, the middle school was on the track system, and that caused a lot of heartache for families who had children in multiple schools. They couldn't take trips at the same time, or childcare was difficult because their students would be on break at random times. And so that's one thing that our community is excited for. We just did the groundbreaking. We're projected to have 2 years, and this classroom should be built. And so while my older daughter won't be able to benefit from it, I'm looking forward to my younger daughter, who's a kindergartner, to be able to be a part of this new school building that will eliminate the track system and get students on the same schedule as everybody else in the DOE.
And what was that experience like? I think the governor was there at the groundbreaking, and all the other elected officials. So going from being a teacher to, you're putting the shovel in the ground, and it's this big ceremony for a school in your community. What was that like?
It was kind of a surreal moment because I remember being at that meeting initially about 3 years ago as a parent and just a member of the community, and hearing the concerns. And back then, my oldest daughter was, I think, 2nd or 3rd grade, and I secretly hoped that they would have had this done before she went to the middle school, which didn't happen. But yeah, it was kind of a out-of-body experience because now I'm on the other end, and I was able to participate in this groundbreaking. The principal there was a former VP from when I first started teaching, so I have just connections in different ways, and I'm just very proud that I am very humbly proud that I could be a part of it, and hopefully I'll be in office in 2 years as well when the building is done and I can be able to be a part of its grand opening.
One of the questions that we heard in the past 2 segments, we had freshmen on as well for the House and the Senate. Were there any big surprises coming into this session?
Again, I guess because I didn't have any background knowledge on what I'm doing, the biggest surprise to me was just the fast pace of going from committee hearings to floor and back to committee hearings, and now when we did the conference. And being in the minority, there were 10 freshman legislators that were elected, as mentioned in the previous segment. I was the only one on the minority side. So because there are only 5 of us, we have to spread ourselves further than the majority does. And so it was a big learning experience for me, but I had to learn really quickly how to be prepared for every committee hearing and every floor session that I had been a part of. And I gotta give a shout out to my team, my office manager and the legislative aides that I had, Jamie, Eric, and Nanette, thank you, because they were really key in making sure that I made it to everything and I survived every day. And we're here, I think it's day 58, I believe, or
I think so.
Is it day 58? So we're almost there, and I'm just grateful for that opportunity.
And so just very quickly, what has been your highlight so far?
My highlight so far, I think learning and meeting different people and who are passionate about what they stand for has been a highlight for me. And I always am excited when I hear people or meet people or receive messages from people from our community. I love Mililani. I'm a Kauai girl by birth, but Mililani is a community that I represent. And I think the highlight has just been how people are so excited that they have somebody in office who's going to listen to them and be their voice. And that's really why I decided to run. I just want to represent the community as best as I can. And that's I think the highlight of me is being able to represent Mililani the best.
Sure, we've got about 35 seconds left. What are your plans during the interim before we go into the next session next year?
Hopefully I can finally take a nap. I didn't get to after I got elected. But other than kind of being more of a mom than I've been able to in the past few months, I really want to get back into the community and serve as much as I can, represent them, take their issues, and get ready for the next session, which is starting in January. The months go by very quickly. So my main thing is, again, being that mom, but also preparing and being being the voice and the ears and eyes for the community and the constituents I represent.
Speaking of preparing, we'll be getting ready for that big vote tomorrow right after this. So Representative Okimoto, thank you for joining us this morning. Thank you to the viewers at home and to Olelo for making this program happen. We will see you next week.